21st, and we've got Beth and Carolyn and Peter and Joshua here tonight. Joshua's not here, so we're going to get started. And now you can plug that in right on the last one. There's the corner. Feel a little magnetic sync up.
Just snaps right in.
Yeah, it's nice. Let's get that in. And then we can include the Joshua. Okay. 21st, and we've got Beth and Carolyn and Peter and Joshua here tonight. Joshua's not here, so we're going to get started. And now that was very strange. There's the corner. Feel a little magnetic sync up.
Just snaps right in.
Yeah, it's nice. Let's get that in. And then we can include the Joshua. Okay. 21st. That was just super strange. I don't know why. It's like we're watching it on YouTube as we're recording it with a little bit of time lag.
So it's being broadcast.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know why it was doing that on Google Plus. It's never done that before.
Well, usually there's another person at the end, right? It's like,
right, might have something to do with it.
Hi.
Hi. Technology and me have not been good friends lately.
It's not just you.
No, it's not. It's just call today.
Cranky in general.
Okay, so let's get started. Check in. So I'm going to let you guys do what you want. Just do it briefly, a couple minutes at the most. The things that we've done in the past is just kind of say how we are now, and a celebration, and the question you bring for the evening. But if you prefer to say something about your astrological sign and how it's doing, meet your needs in this opening check-in.
Oh, it's cancer. That makes me
Okay.
Well, I'm happy to start.
Great.
We're
happy to have you start. Thank you.
Doug, I am feeling really good, actually, which is nice. I had my first 2 clients yesterday.
Wow.
On the same day.
2 in one day.
You're making your coach really happy.
Really cool. And
good job.
And it was actually really fun, even though I was not perfect. I didn't even get to an eye access with the first one, but we've got like a follow-up. But it was good. Like I felt energized afterwards, and I always kind of had this fear that I'd be really drained after doing NLP with people, but I really enjoyed it. And I got my business cards, which I have to share. And they're really pretty. So I feel like I have lots of that celebration stuff right now. So yay.
Great.
As far as the question, okay, now that I've done that, now it's really about getting the message out there to more people. So I guess the question is, how can I fucking please just send this first email? That would be really
You and Carolyn can have a chat about this.
You send me yours, and I'll send you mine.
just the quick email that's like, hey guys, by the way, I'm doing donation stuff for all my friends, and my voice, to get it working. I'm also realizing that 4 or 5 hours every week on one day is an interesting limitation to have, and it's a little bit hard it's been hard because it's just the one person to schedule on those days. So I'm open to, if I get like a bunch of people, to find different office solutions, because my house is not real great for that. So I'm kind of curious about that.
It's often a stumbling block on the early side before you have a full roster of clients, but you can't do it at home because you have roommates or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's a little challenging. Sometimes what you can find are colleagues in places who will hour-to-hour sublease to you.
I do have.
Someone who's desperate to get someone to fill in sometime.
So that's really helpful.
And sometimes they're like centers. Like if I were looking for that, I would hit Rouge or Mondier in the East Bay
That's interesting.
because there are like 6 or 7 offices there, a bunch of practitioners, and I would connect with them and say, do you have half a day a week that you would really like to not?
So,
Yeah.
Well, that's, yeah, it would be nice to pick up like a couple of different places. And, you know, once it gets to a certain point, I know where I want my office to be. Active space is a really good option for a single space to have if you get it on the right floor. $400 a month can get you like a private office, and if you've got clients, come in $120 to have that space for 5 hours a week, which is still pretty cheap in the city. So more clients, more work, but more money. So yeah,
And didn't someone here name a resource in San Francisco?
well, there's the Independent Practice Center, which is an option, and it's about the same price. It's like $30 plus.
There are tons of these little groups of practitioners though to like look into. There are like 4 or 5 of them in the Castro.
Okay, that I check.
Yeah, let me know.
Okay.
Just tell you all the ones I know.
So yeah, happy good things. Those are my questions, I think. I'm also, just real quick, I'm doing ALC, the AIDS Life Cycle, leaving next weekend. So I won't be here for the next Wednesday workshop that we have, because I'll be somewhere between here and Los Angeles.
If you're free, you can do that.
I'm gonna be working until like 8.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in a campground. So
Got it.
all right.
Okay.
So that's it, and I'm gonna pass you out the business card.
Oh, let's see, this is good.
Oh.
Fancy.
Man, I really wanted the fancy card, so.
You didn't want the free ones, huh?
Oh, how pretty.
Nice. Good crop job.
Yeah. Good crop job. I love that. And you know, it's a good starting point. I'm like, you know, it's what I have on there for now. We'll put other stuff on there once I figure out what the fuck I'm doing.
That's all you need.
Well done.
Thank you. Thanks for your help with that. That actually was not the picture I was going to pick, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, little impish.
These are great.
Awesome. Well done. Congrats. And choose the next person to check him.
John. Oh, wait.
Are you having
He's like,
a
I'm
good
having a good time at the concert.
Um,
I'm not thinking about my goddamn business.
Oh, it's nice. It's funny. Oh, what's up? What's up? I'm just fine. I don't know what to say, guys.
Oh,
So
come
pass for
on.
now, ask
I
someone else to
pass.
go,
I
and,
go.
and you'll go at the end.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'll go.
No one can be forced to go at any given time.
I can't see myself. Oh, thank you. So, celebration is I actually went to my first networking event,
Yay!
which was interesting. I sort of liked it and I sort of didn't like it. But
That sounds like your average networking event.
yeah,
I call that a win.
yeah.
That's a total win.
Yeah, you didn't hate it.
Yeah, it was like there was some good stuff there. So that's sort of the celebration. Leslie and I worked on a lot of ecology stuff yesterday, and it was like
Yeah, I kind of rang her bell
and-
yesterday.
pretty intense. My husband said, "How'd your session go with Leslie?" And I'm like, "It was really intense." He goes, "I don't understand how it would be so intense over the phone." And I was like, "It was really intense." So anyway, I'm having the same ecology, maybe. Well, probably different ecology, but having a little
Same
trouble.
outcome.
Same results, yeah.
A little trouble sending out my email. And so Leslie suggested I just send it out as an experiment. And I really like that word, experiment. And just see what happens. And I guess my question tonight is I'm really kind of into doing this mother constellation because stuff about my mom came up yesterday. So it's pretty interesting when you're starting a business and all your childhood stuff comes up. So anyway, I guess that's my question. Just like, trying to clear up and understand what I actually went through yesterday, maybe a little bit. This is my question. So, I guess that's you, Peter. I mean, Josh, sorry.
I'm really super tired right now. I was up and down all night, so, and then I was super busy today. So I'm kind of hating life, and I'm here. And let's see.
Did you say you're hating life or you're fading?
Hating.
Hating life.
Just a little bit hating.
Okay. I didn't know if you said fading or hating. I was hoping you were saying fading.
I just would rather be in bed, but that's not true because I'm here. I'd rather be here, but I'd almost rather be in bed. And celebration stuff. Last time we talked, I made flyers.
No.
All right, this is a neat story. Like, I was meeting with my friend Sam, and we're doing this event next month, and then while we were each working on different things, I kind of just busted out this little flyer. It's like a quarter sheet of paper, black and white. It was designed to be printed as cheaply as possible. It's very like punk DIY, but I showed it to him. He's like, I like it. So then we had to do something, and like we're walking, and we passed by this like hole-in-the-wall coffee shop. And I'm like, see if they can do it. And we go in, and they can totally access a file by. So I forward the file to them from my phone, and like it's like this old Latino couple, but like this was like the best coffee shop I've ever worked at. They were the fastest I've ever seen. I had printed out a cut guide for them, and he's like, oh no, our cutter has a weight. It has a, I forget, he explained it, and I'm like, okay, you go. They cut the cards perfectly, gave them back to us. It was like the cheapest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna go back there
and go to their Yelp site. That would be a really, if they have one.
Thank you.
That'd be a really nice pay it forward thing.
And so suddenly we had flyers, really awesome. So then today I ended up with some time in my Newcastle, and I'm just like going to the wrong places, and they're great because like on the front of them they just say in really big letters, "Get more of the sex that you want," and it's just like that's eye catching. Because I'm putting it in places and just seeing it sit there, it's like it's really great.
Everybody's gonna pick that up.
And
Like I said, some straight girls are going to show up at this workshop.
And so it's like we have something like 25 RSVPs on our Facebook event page.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, it's going forward. I had a good coaching call with you around like doing the event, and so I still have to put more thought into actually what we're going to do, but I have time. I'm watching myself like go back and forth on things. Like I was putting all this energy into my massage website redesign, and then suddenly I'm like, I finally said in my head, I don't think I want to be doing massage anymore.
Wow.
And then I just immediately backpedal, well, like, not ever, but what I really mean by that is like, I really don't want to be putting any energy into making it happen. And it's still, I'm still in question about the whole relationship to it. But for a little bit, I was like, why am I doing this website redesign? And then I was like, oh yeah, because massage is still your bread and butter, and it feels like just too much. Like I want to transition,
yeah,
into doing NLP work and other things. I don't want to just jump and fall.
Fair enough.
But at this, so I was like,
it's like having the day job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh yeah, that's why. And so I'm fine again. But
by the way, do you remember Catherine Middleton? She actually had the same aha, because she's transitioning from her pole dancing to NLP for sex workers.
Oh, nice.
And so she was putting a lot of investment into her old business, even though she wanted to transition, and she had the exact same insight. So, yeah.
And so, but something that's happening that makes me really encouraged to kind of like jump more is, I don't know if I've said this to you folks, the conversations I'm able to have with people around NLP, way different than the conversations I have around massage. it's literally the difference between conversations that end in, oh, that's nice, or wow, I should really work with you. Like, right? And so I'm like, like this really, I don't think has to be as difficult as I maybe conceived it as.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can't remember what I've said to you folks or not, but like based on the conversations I'm having with people just casually, it really makes me want to check out some networking events too, and like see what that's like for me.
Right.
Because the NLP toolset has enabled me to like really easily hone in with people on what's really important to them, and then to begin to open up some possibility for them. And as soon as people get a whiff that the thing that's dearest to them might actually be possible, they get really interested. So that's kind of on my mind. And good things are happening. I had a photo shoot with a photographer friend, Lori, in my space for some new photos for my massage website. And this is about the time that I'm like, why am I even doing this? And it was just clear that like something else was going on entirely, and I don't even know what it is. And it's like, relax, like you're totally supposed to be doing this photo shoot. Okay. So, so things are in progress. I'm fine, except for being tired. And if I have a question, it's just, how do I really go for it? Whatever it is. Like I feel like I hold myself back.
Can I comment?
Please.
Can you put the NLP into your new website?
I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's like that's kind of popped up too. It's like I've converted some massage clients into also NLP clients.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's do more of that.
Right. So if you can sort of highlight the NLP, then you're really doing a website for the NLP. Think of it that way.
Just one thing to think about. Yes, go to networking events, and my guess, and I don't know this for certain, but my guess is that part of what makes the NLP conversations exciting with your current network of friends is that they're not jaded about NLP. At Upward network events, you're going to find a lot more people who think they already know what that is. So, just for what it's worth.
Interesting. That's been your experience.
And that doesn't mean you may have a way of doing it that gets around that. Yeah, the sort of magic part may not be quite so.
Thanks, I can imagine that.
The other thing is there's this, you're saying you're not really going for it, and what would it mean to really go for it? And I don't want to contradict that you're not experiencing yourself as really going for it. From out here, it really feels like you're going for it. If you were to be going for it more, I'm having a hard time imagining what that would actually be, or what. And that doesn't mean there aren't ceilings or limitations you're working with. We all are, but yeah. So that's just an impression, without denying your own sense that maybe you're not going for it. Yeah. You want to go now, or you want to go last?
I guess I can go now.
Okay.
So yesterday, I was together with my 4 siblings for the first time, and I cannot remember when. We could not even all agree about when was the last time we were all together. It was really wonderful and really intense. And it kind of feels like, this morning I'm like, I feel like I have an intimacy hangover. Because we were with each other in a way we'd never been, as brothers and sisters, 2 sisters and 3 brothers, including a brother who was adopted out at birth, but he's been included since he's been 17, the last 15 years or so. It's just intense, and my parents were sort of part of that, but kind of not, kind of on the fringe. It's really gross. So the reason I bring it up is I announced to them how I realized recently that I had been hiding my whole life out of survival. That's why I kind of weigh my little blinders on, and how I had also excluded them because of that, and how sad that was. How I was sad about that, and how I was, apologize. I'm like, I was doing the best I could, but I realized now I left you guys. It didn't make room for a relationship with most of them. Well, the two younger ones, or the three younger ones, really. Well, the two younger ones I grew up with. Anyway, so it's I don't know. It's pretty intense for me. It's just super intense. And then my sister was over again this afternoon, but it was low key. It's her and her two little boys. We both could go, oh my God, that was intense. And my sister's like, oh my God, I have a migraine. It's just intense. It's good though. It's very, very good. So that's kind of what's up. The other thing that's up is I really am about to publish my novella.
Yeah.
So it feels like, it makes it hard to make room to create other things because of this final phase that we're in.
Yeah.
I'm even thinking of adding this one little piece to the story that's kind of exciting and finishing the cover. It's not as nerve-wracking as it's been in the past, but I noticed that my brain is a little bit split between taking care of that and everything else. So that's kind of a celebration, actually. Both of those things, meeting with family and having my
Big deal, yeah.
my novella almost done. And then question, I really would like to have a little bit more ease around generating some immediate income because things are really tight right now. And so I would like to open up a little bit more ease around, like I'm NLP for writers. I'm about to launch that. I have to revise all that up and get it out there. And I notice I'm nervous about it because I need to like hold some space for it on my calendar, and it's like. And then, but really what's happening actually is like I'm having a consultation with someone next week she sort of said, I want your help because I have this mental ability to see clearly, and it's like a creativity coaching consultation, which is super awesome, but it's outside of what I normally do. And I'm like, does that mean I need to like market that, because that's something I'm super good at and it's super easy. So I'm finding I want what's easy, I need to generate lots of one-off consultations, or one or two off.
Yeah.
Like now.
Yeah.
Be nice. We're about $700 short this month. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. And it's the 21st of the month. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I was sitting here thinking I have quite a few celebrations. More than I would have thought. So some of you participated in one of them. So I did my first free monthly coaching call, and that was awesome.
Okay.
And people were spontaneously posting testimonials on their Facebook postings, and it was really kind of lovely. And it feels like a really good format and a really good way to grow my list, and a way to practice, and a way to hopefully generate some consultations would be really, really great. So that's one thing that was great. I had my first meeting with my new coach. That was exciting. He gave me a really long to-do list. I need to talk to him about that, and it's a week later now, and I haven't gotten to any of it. But some of it already affected some of my marketing for the upcoming May 31st event. I have 2 sign-ups for that a week ahead of time. That's good. Then there were some other things I was thinking. Oh, the person who would have been a good fit for this program but didn't sign up for it. We did create a program together, so we're going to be doing that. So I'm going to beta doing that with him. Yeah, and I was kind of where you were about 2 weeks ago, Beth. Like,
I remember.
Where have all the clients gone? And I can't say there's been a flood, but there's been a few, and just enough to kind of allow me to breathe easily. And one of them showed up for 1 session and then decided to purchase 3. So it's just a little bit of breathing room. So that's all good. Some conversations about the next U.S. Constellations Conference have started, and it's probably going to be in the Bay Area next year. and the person who's kind of administratively and responsible for it seems to have an instinctive feel that that somehow I need to be in the heart of that. So I think I'm going to be on the steering committee for that, and maybe even having a chair-like position. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be kind of exciting. One of my great friends, because I was involved last year, and one of the things last year was they had a bunch of people on the steering committee who were like very well-meaning, but no experience and no weight. And it was really painful. And I'm just like, I won't put up with it this year.
Guess you're gonna have to step it up then.
So that's nice. And then the last thing I'll just say, I've got some stuff personal I'm working on, and I'm having an 8 a.m. Skype NLP session with a guy named Andrew Austin, who works with the Andreases in Boulder, which is another NLP school I highly admire. And he does this thing called Metaphors of Movement. It's his own development of NLP. He works with a lot of metaphors. And I just needed someone out of the NLP Marin world to do some NLP work with. So
You're receiving.
I'm sorry, receiving. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm going to try a new practitioner tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Oh, that's great.
Cross your fingers that it's funny because I tried something with another person in the Andreas world. He's actually an Episcopal priest and stuff. About 3 or 4 months ago, he had a free consultation. Rapport skills. It was really shocking. He was like really challenging me on everything, and I'm like, whoa, dude. So I'm hopeful, but we'll see what happens. Okay, party business. Pairs, go off with ye. I will sit and contemplate my sins.
Who have I not worked with?
Who? I don't know.
You've worked with everybody.
You wanna?
Okay.
What the heck?
Boys and girls?
We'll be rotating a lot tonight.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Get to work. Yep. We're behind on time. Put your damn phone down.
I have to make notes or I'll forget them. I am
So I'm going to make you guys kind of like be efficient, okay? About 3 minutes each, 5 at the most. Just check in. How's the heart of your business doing?
Whatever. I was. What's your experience? I feel not distracted. There's just too many things that I'm interested in.
Doesn't sound like sounds like or energy or work. Do you have a take on this whole question?
If you haven't changed over yet, make sure you do that soon.
This I'm just imagining them there and they're really it's like otherwise like you're not robot. Imagine
Want to start wrapping up soon?
you generate funny noises all the time, and I don't think I'm awesome. Yeah.
were the business hearts?
It was good.
Okay.
Have some grapes. Don't just eat
Yeah,
cherries.
so
Have some
it's-
grapes.
Before we move on, can I say one thing about the hard business thing?
Sure.
It's something like, I'm not sure I made the most of the time we just had or something.
Yep.
And I just wonder, like, I don't know. I wasn't really sure what to ask or say to the heart of my business.
Uh-huh.
The questions I have, as I've been asking them, kind of always end up with a similar answer, which is like, I'm good with whatever you want. From that business, like,
Right.
and it's like, all right, I'm glad the heart of my business is good and like a willing follower. Like, what do I do with that? Like, I don't know.
Would it be okay with you if the heart of your business was fine?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Oh, you're
because
just wondering.
it hasn't always been fine
Yeah.
when you checked in.
Yeah.
Having it be fine is really great, but then I'm kind of like, then what? Is that just the point? Like, if it's fine, then I'm done?
Yeah. I mean, the purpose of this exercise is to check in, see how you're doing, and maintain the relationship, right? That's the main purpose. In terms of constellations, you can do anything it pleases you to do. So, I mean, if you have enough time or in a different context, you can bring a representative in for something else that you think might be relevant, and see how it reacts to that. I mean, you don't want to try for soothsaying, but to trying to get prophecies or something, but fortune telling. But if you have a specific problem, like, I don't know, I feel like I'm not going for it. What do you think, heart of business? You know, or I don't have many clients coming in right now. How does it feel when I mention that? And they might say no data. You know, that might not be the relevant entity to ask that question of. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You can also just switch positions to see what it's like. Sit on the floor, have them sit on the floor, just to see what happens. They might go, oh, I'm sitting on the floor, I'm smaller, I feel so much better now. Oh, that's interesting. No change. Yeah. Play with it as you know how to play. Okay, selling. Woohoo! So one of the requests I got from the group was try and manage nuts and bolts information a little bit better. I will make the attempt. As most of you already know, in terms of for your NLP people, my metaprogramming is highly reactive. So getting it really short and focused is really, really hard. It's lots of subclauses, verbal. Always another way to explain it, right? That's the reactive metaprogramming.
Oh, okay.
If you don't remember it from
I couldn't remember what I
metaprogramming,
meant,
then that's
yeah.
fine.
But I know what you mean.
Whereas proactive, extreme proactive tend to go, you know, subject, verb, object. They're happy with that. Feels good. So it's challenging for me to do that, so I'm glad for it. I'm going to write stuff up and try and bullet point things. And I'm dividing this into two categories. The first one is general principles. And then the second one is nuts and bolts. You have an outline for the nuts and bolts.
Okay.
If you want to write anything from the first half of the lecture, which is actually, the first half of the lecture is going to be way more useful for you. Bet the nuts and bolts stuff is going to be quite familiar to you. But I think you'll get some reframes out of the first half. This might be something good to take notes on. And when I get to that part, you can take more notes on there as well. So basically, I want to start off with the word selling. You can have arguments with practitioners about it's not selling, it's enrolling. It's something else, it's something else, it's something else. There are a lot of people who do not like the word selling when it comes to healing practices or heart-based practices of one sort or another. Creative practices, right? And what I would like to say, the languaging doesn't matter. It's evidence of anxiety. Yeah?
To be concerned about the word.
Yeah, so let's actually look at the anxiety. What causes anxiety about selling? Am I still in here? Yes. Anxiety reselling. Okay? The first one that I want to name is what I call commodification. It's a long word. But in America, if you can name it, you can sell it. And we'll put a price on it. Yeah? Commodifying water in a lot of cultures has become a really big problem. In New Jersey, it used to drive me nuts. You had to pay to go to the beaches. It's the beaches. You can't make me pay to go to the beaches. And so commodification is basically where something gets turned into some kind of value object with a price on it. Yeah? And so many of us, understandably, have a bit of a resistance to commodify our services. Yeah? It gets to feeling a little creepy. Yeah? And remember the whole conversation from a few weeks ago about how you know your services are of infinite value. Yeah? If you help someone stop smoking, you kind of saved a life. How do you put a price on that, right? If you help someone write their novel, yeah? So this makes us uncomfortable. Kicks up issues of worth and value. That's a fairly obvious thing. Am I worth $100 an hour or whatever it is? And am I fraud? Do I actually do anything that helps anybody? You know? Issues of safety. And this will come up in the conversation about visibility, right? If I sell, will I be safe in the interaction? And this comes to stance issues around, as I sell, what am I trying to protect myself from? If we're going into selling, protecting ourselves from something, an accusation of being a fraud, or it's not worth that, or you shouldn't make me pay that, or who are you to say that you can help me with my smoking? If we're protecting ourselves from anything, that's gonna feel uncomfortable. Yeah. Mark Silver at Heart of Business makes the point that this is an act of intimacy, which most of us miss. Yeah. And so our issues around intimacy are going to come up. Another one is, I don't know how. And we're going to be getting into some of the how. Okay? I literally, I'm an NLP practitioner. I don't know how to sell something. I don't know how to do it. All of these together will come together and create a sort of persistent feeling of yuckiness. Well, no, the technical term is incongruency, right?
Well, I think we're thinking.
I liked it.
Yeah, no, yucky is better. Yeah. You can all feel into the decay of this when it just feels wrong. Yeah? And so either we don't do it at all, or when we do it, it's not coming through cleanly. Yeah? Okay.
Can I just say that my stumbling block is not selling
Right.
to a human being, selling online.
Okay.
So
But my guess is that one of these bullet points are going to be the relevant piece.
Sure. So I just
Yeah.
where the concept of
And who are you selling to?
people who want
Human
more.
beings.
Yeah.
It's still a human being on the
There's
other
something
side.
about the interaction that I
That
think
works
is
it out for you,
only-
works out your ecology for you.
Yeah.
That's cool. Excellent. Okay.
Like I'll use that frame. Otherwise,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and all of these bullets are going to be relevant there as well. The nuts and bolts are not going to be as relevant. And if we have time, I'll try and address it a little bit more. And the outline, what you want to get to online or whatever context you're selling is going to be the same, which is building relationship and trust and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay, so this is the problem. Yeah? the answer is some kind of confidence of some sort, right? I'm going to put this under the confidence, however you want to call that, what you want, feeling good about it, feeling congruent about it, whatever that is. And remember, for us, it's always enough, right?
What do you mean?
Being confident enough.
Oh.
Yeah? We don't have to be 100% confident at all times to be able to get in there and do it. Right? Okay. So what are the quote-unquote sort of solutions? Or shall we say the goals that you want to reach for in order to have this? Honesty, authenticity. So everything we're saying, whether it's on our online marketing or in a conversation, is in alignment with what we know about ourselves and in alignment with what we know about our service. So we're not making ourselves say that our service can do things it can't do, make guarantees we can't guarantee. We're in alignment with our level of practice and the level of mastery we have. We're not trying to be something in order to get a sale that doesn't feel in alignment with us. I'll put that word as well, alignment. That's probably the word I like the best for me personally. The nice thing here is that you've got no requirement to come up with anything that isn't true. And who you are right now, everyone in this room, I've got no questions about whether they ought to be selling what they're selling. We've met people who are like, oh, right?
Oh my God. I
I
can design your book for you.
I don't think so. So reframing, maybe I should have included in here, but somewhere around the intimacy, it's around the safety issue, is reframing the whole thing as a dignified exchange. And this also addresses the commodification issue. Between two equals, one who has a service to offer, and another one who worked for Google and made a certain amount of money and wants to give it to you for that service. Yeah? Their work has honor, your work has honor, and you're doing an exchange. We could be doing this barter style. We could be doing this with pebbles. I don't know.
Chicken soup.
But and we could say, oh, you know, modern capitalism makes this so undignified. I wish it wasn't like this. Well, let's go into the past and we can all have feudalism instead, where people are forced to do work. And, you know, I mean, so this is actually a better deal than some of the economic exchange systems the world has experimented with over the years. It's still got its problems, but and this takes me to the next bullet, is to honor our cultural limitations. You know, it is what it is. The system is what it is. Yeah? And we're doing our best to be honorable within it. Yeah? Without papering over the ways in which the system works against the weak and the powerless. It's not a good system for them. You know, it doesn't work for the people who are born into unfortunate subcultures without educational opportunities and stuff like that. You know, some people get a way head start in the system, and other people never have a chance to make it up. We just want to honor and include all of it. Not honor in the sense of saying it all works, which is this is our home. This is actually where we are. It's like consenting to our family, even if you don't want to go to Thanksgiving dinner with them. Right? Okay. Manage, and all of these, by the way, could each be an hour lecture. Okay. Manage, and this is a conversation that I think you and I had once. Neediness properly. And I want to explain this a bit. This is another thing I've gotten from Mark Silver. And I actually gave you an example of this a few weeks ago when I said I did a meditation, kind of a guidance thing on client flow, and I realized that when I have clients, it convinces me that I'm worth something. Clients shouldn't have to have the weight of that. It's not their job. And yet to know I'm worthwhile is a genuine human need. Yeah? I just need to get that from the divine, get that from spirit, get that from my own existential right to need, whatever sources that you get that from. Most of the neediness in this sentence are kind of huge existential verities. Worth, feeling loved. If you feel more loved by the end of a session, that's kind of okay, but eventually that's going to get tricky if that's where you're getting your main love needs met. And it's going to feel creepy to your clients and they're going to start going away. Yeah. So for this, hang out and just say really honestly, what needs am I trying to get from my clients that don't properly belong to my clients? And I need to cultivate getting it somewhere else. That's why Mark Silver is such an advocate for having a spiritual practice, a really conscious spiritual practice, because without it, you're probably going to try and get those needs from your business. Knowing you're worthwhile, you're lovable, what else? An ultimate sense of safety in the universe, belonging in the universe, all those kind of big ones that just come with being human, or should, but get.
They just shared it as an employee, for a company.
Yeah.
How much of that stuff gets wrapped up in there without any just it's wrapped up in the nature, you don't exist without this job.
Yeah.
That's almost sometimes.
Well, and that comes to our Facebook conversation we had a few months ago around the earning a living thing. Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the worst combinations of 3 words ever put together.
I've been rethinking that every time I start to say it.
Yeah, okay. Another one is the fundamental okayness of everyone. Okay. This comes back to stance. Yeah. So you're interacting with a client either in the sale or the session, and is there? Let's see, did I put this on the next page? Yeah. That there's no one, I'm not here, I'll fix you, and then I'll feel better about myself, Or you'll pay me money, and then you'll feel, whatever it is. The big one is, it comes back over here, the self-protection thing, the safety thing. Often in selling, we're unconsciously trying to either, or both at the same time for some of us who switch it, is either protect ourselves from the potential violations of our clients, or protect our clients from our potential violations. So it becomes a place where we're trying to avoid mutual violation, which kind of presupposes everyone's a potential perpetrator in the interaction. Yeah. So I want to make sure that they pay my fee and they don't, try and get away with anything, or I want to make sure I don't offend them or upset them, so they don't leave the call upset or offended. I kind of go back and forth on those. Sometimes I'm the potential perpetrator, and sometimes they're the potential perpetrator. This just makes it so difficult. Okay, so this is stance work. This is ecology work around presupposing the okayness of everyone in the interaction before, during, and after the call. And no one needs protecting. Okay. Of anybody.
It's just super difficult for me clients.
Yeah, yeah,
One
yeah.
of them was like 2 different clients. One I had that experience with, I was like, don't want to go too far, I don't want whatever. I didn't get through this whole thing, so Jesus shouldn't even really pay me.
Yeah.
And the other one, everything was fine and everything was great. It was beautiful, awesome,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
But I was automatically assuming like, I don't want to push her too far. 'Cause
Yeah,
she
yeah,
should know,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. And then some of that is stuff is developmental. Remember the conversation from a while ago? Developmental stuff versus ecology. We'll feel more confident and okay about ourselves as we get through more and more sessions and seem to do no damage. Right? And even clearly do some people some good. Okay, that's part of the developmental process. That's just fine. There was something else I was going to say about this, but I forgot. No. It was actually raised up, and then I got past it, so I forgot. And, well, I'll get back to that in a second. And then the last one, this is really important, the awareness and acceptance that your ecology and learning are in process. Right? So this kind of goes back to all the other points, right? The goal is to have these all aligned and in place, but none of us have them all perfectly aligned and in place. So in order to be able to manage or bear that, is the last point, is to be able to appreciate that our ecology and learning are in process around all of these bullet points. Any questions about any of this? Now, all of this is just, some of this is developmental. Some of this is like you heard it and now it's in, it's there. Some of you already have some of these already, they're not your issue. And other stuff is just part of it'll be part of your ecology work over the months and years. Yeah. So questions or comments about any of this?
Well, I have to say, this is a really helpful frame for me to use on my sales pages. On this page, for example.
Oh, good.
Just, I have some other filters I'm using, but this is a wonderful way to answer some of the things that I think were kind of murky for me.
Yeah, good.
And to have that even a stronger stance about what I'm about.
Right.
And also, I have an aha also about, it's not just for writers. I'm actually showing up for creatives. I have a strong calling for that. Anybody who's comes to life in that really creative lifestyle. I get them.
Yes, you do get them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that'll come through in your copy.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you get your particular clients. I remembered what this was. Because of who we are, we will attract some people who, in conventional terms, are kind of perpy. Yeah?
What was the word?
Sorry, short for perpetratorish.
Oh.
The thing that we will often find are people, this is what I have from time to time, it's not all the time, people are really struggling in their lives, they don't have a lot of money, I don't mind that, that's cool, but they sort of let me know that I ought to give them a break because life's so hard for them. And at that point I go, thank you very much, but that's my price. Yeah, because I'm not particularly interested, if they pay the price, that victim stuff is going to probably drop out.
Mm-hmm.
And if I give them a discount and let them in, I'm probably not going to be able to do them much help anyway. No?
I found that to be the case.
Yeah. The other more extreme version of this is stuff like people who come in and then they just won't pay you, or they say you need to give them a refund even though you gave them everything and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Some of us attract more of that than others. I just have some people who are like, they constantly getting in trouble with their clients and complaining about stuff.
When I see the fundamental case of everyone, I think just a programmer stance too, like there's got to be.
Well, that's his stance.
Well, obviously, yeah. And like, the piece with the payment, but also the piece with everything else,
yeah.
Right? The technology.
Right. Well, and this is what I consider, it's not just about selling, of course, it's about the whole thing. This is what I kind of consider good self-employment stance. So there's the stance we have in the interaction when we're providing the service, which needs to be clean. But it's, and a lot of us, you know, as long as we're just practicing it one-on-one, our stance is super clean. As soon as we're in business and making money, the stance gets all wobbly again. Oh, I have to protect myself, or you need to be protected from me, or whatever, right? So this is kind of like a healthy, useful, self-employed practitioner stance.
Yeah, I just have to say that the one client that I'm working with, fundamental ecology, is something on the lines of, like, I'm broken and not okay.
Right.
Right.
That'll be $200.
Yeah.
Right. And you're not going to sit down and go, yes, you are. You're okay. You're just fine. Oh, wow, that's really hard.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, inside you're going, you see their wholeness. You know, you see them as okay. So this is kind of framework stuff. This is not nuts and bolts, but this is what more and more we want to hold as we're growing into being sellers of one sort or another. And also, as I think as Beth has made really clear, because marketing is, well, not all marketing is selling. A lot of marketing is just, hello, get to know me. But it's kind of got that arc, hopefully. So this is for all of the marketing, all of the copy, yeah. What you want to acquire is a sense of this K. Huh?
You're incongruent.
Yeah?
Yeah,
The
that took me a
incongruency
few
K.
years.
Now, you want to distinguish this from a different negative K,
Mm.
which is you're trying to do something your ecology is cranky about. And they can feel very similar. Yeah? But all you have to do is, if you feel this K negative come up, it's time for exploration. Oh, do I need to rewrite that a little bit? Is that title just right? Have I used a cheesy picture instead of something that's a little more heartfelt? And then if you go, and you know, actually, I think it's okay, that's just my ecology showing up. I'm going to go for it anyway. And then that all goes into the last one. And in hindsight, you'll go, yeah, that was my ecology, that turned out really well. Or you'll go, oops, that was an incongruency, that wasn't quite right. Now I know something new. Yeah.
Can I just say that that took me multiple times, multiple years, lots of experimenting, lots of trying to even distinguish what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, and for me, those two K minuses are almost the same.
Yeah.
So the key is not to be able to tell the difference between the two. It's to listen to the alarm and pay attention and explore it, and then say, okay, I'm going to go for it and see what happens. Often I will find, it's so funny, this is drat. It's after I hit the set publish button, and then I've gone, is that right? Is that, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I hit the publish, 24 hours later, I'm like, oh man, that was,
Yeah.
But that's where this last bullet comes up, yeah? Yeah, it's like, okay, not going to do that again. Can you also, this is like really the important one. How are we supposed to be human as we grow our businesses?
Well, then that turns this into like a journey instead of a destination that we're at or not at.
Yeah. Or the other way I put it in my marketing is, can you be successful and not be perfect, sort of, yeah? Some people say they, feel like until they get perfection, they can't pay their bills. It's just, there's no way they're going to be able to pay their bills until they got whatever bullet list in place. If it's this bullet list or a different bullet list, yeah. No, actually, you can be successful and be learning.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now the doing of this, which you have the handout for, yeah. So I'm going to read more than write. And at the end, if you want to take pictures, phone pictures of this or whatever, and the other page. Okay, so this is the doing part. The first thing, some nuts and bolts beforehand. You'll notice at the beginning of each one of these 4 bullets, it's clear. The word is clear. Clear, 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 clear. Clear offers, clear pricing, clear agreement, clear follow-up. You will save yourself a great deal of heartache if you're clear about all these pieces before going into the interaction, whatever it is. Clear offers. 3 sessions over the course of 3 months. Now here's things I figured out later on. If I did a package for 3 sessions and a year later they hadn't used one of them, well, I hadn't made a rule about that, yeah? So then I realized it had to be used in 5 months, it's non-transferable and it's non-refundable, or whatever your decision around that is.
Did they expire, or is it legal to expire if you purchase a package of like 3 sessions and they don't use the 3rd one?
Why wouldn't it be illegal to say it has to be used in 5 months?
It's
just
gift
the rule.
certificates are
Gift
illegal to
certificates.
expire.
That's different.
My Staples rewards cards all expire.
Check with a lawyer. Yeah, I'm not because I've heard like different people say different things on this.
That's Jamie.
I mean, I would think that if someone came back to you in 5 years and expected to have that, to say, okay, but we need to take inflation into account now, or something. I mean, there's just something kind of weird about it.
Have you ever?
And I've never had anyone
I was
flinch.
going to say, have you ever had anyone?
No. And people like clarity.
Sure.
And usually, I mean, the whole point of getting 3 sessions is to do a chunk of work.
Right.
So, clear pricing. There is no one right price. It's what feels right to your heart, again, for now. But here's some things to take into account when you think about prices. Notice what feels too high. Gives you a negative K. Notice what feels too low. Now, these things can be ecology, but they're at least worth paying attention to. And again, you don't want to force anything. You don't. I have to make myself charge $300 an hour, otherwise I'm not stepping into my bigness. Which, by the way, if I never hear the phrase stepping into my bigness ever again, that would be one of those ones. What is the range for the market on your offer? Like, just find out, well, how much is what other people are doing. Where are you in your expertise, confidence, time in the work, mastery, etc.? Now, I want to say all these things are relative. You were on the call, and Catherine asked that question about she felt really uncomfortable about discovering that people who had been in the field longer than her were charging less than her. And basically what I ended up doing was having her do a little constellation with these mentors and experts and give them all the dignity of whatever choices they made to choose that price. I charged $10 more per 2-hour section than Carla Camus. She has like 20 years of experience on me, but she lives in Seattle, where the cost of living is lower, and the market can't bear what it does in the Bay Area. She's told me flat out what she cannot charge for workshops there because it just won't bear it there. Yeah. And everybody's got their own too high, too low range inside themselves. We just want to respect that. Don't name a price just because someone told you you should. Go higher just because someone said you should step into your bigness, even though it doesn't feel quite right. Stay low when you're feeling cranky about it. That's really useful. If you set something at 150 and then a year later you're starting to feel cranky about it, it's time to raise your prices. It's just a useful K. Yeah. The one I've used the most is with NLP students when I'm TAing. I do kind of a sliding scale. And every once in a while I realize that at the lower end of that sliding scale, when they choose it, I'm angry. So that means I need to raise it. Right. Yeah. Go higher to look impressive. Study lower just because someone with more experience is lower, etc. Okay. Clear agreement, what you are offering, what the cost is, how that is all managed, etc. For a 1 session, there's probably not much need for much of an agreement, but for a package or a program, conditions of refunds, you really need to be clear about those things.
Can I just say
Have I sent you all my client agreement?
No, that would be great.
I have. I took your PDF document and I put it into a Word document and changed it around so it's editable for my
myself.
Yeah,
I could send it out.
sure, that'd be
So it's
great.
basically your stuff.
That'd be
just-
great. Yeah.
So,
And it's not really I have it's high time for me to update
The
that.
waiver and release one. You're talking
Yeah. It's got the disclosure statement in it.
do you offer that for a one-time consultation? I mean, do you have them sign a contract or?
Yes, I have, even for one session, I have them read the basically waiver and disclosure statement, but I really would prefer to call it a client agreement. It's friendlier.
Yeah, and what about over the phone clients?
Yes,
Yes.
if they're paying me. If it's just if it's a free consultation, for God's
Right.
sakes, no. There would be a lot of paperwork for a lot of sessions that don't end up paying anything.
Oh, no,
But yes, no, phone work.
So you just
I
send-
should have had a clearer agreement with all of you for this series.
Right.
I'm going to have an agreement for this guy I'm doing the program with.
Because I just didn't even think of it for this gal. I'm doing a one-off who's paying me in cash and PayPal.
Yeah.
But I have a big agreement for all the coaching clients.
Yeah.
The program, the one-off. I mean, not
Yeah.
one-off. The only thing is not one-off appointments. That's the only thing
I mean,
seems like a lot.
there are a few things you kind of need. Well, and it kind of sets the tone that you might be seeing me more than just one time, for one thing, because it has stuff in there like,
Okay.
I put something in there about emailing,
Yeah.
because I just can't deal with the people who think that they could get coaching by email. I'm happy to get a quick question, I'm really crashing a few days later, do you have any insight on that? I'm perfectly happy. But when I have this one client right now, and I had to start making my responses shorter and shorter just to kind of get across, and I finally said, it may be time for us to get together to talk about this. So I put that in the agreement, stuff like that. Clear follow-up. So the scheduling, intake forms, billing, etc. Just know how you're going to do all that, so it looks and feels really professional to your clients. Do you take credit cards or not? How do you do it? And you can. It's fine to keep it really simple up front. Say I take cash or checks, and then grow into other things. It's just fine. I have one colleague. She's disabled. She does NLP sessions occasionally. It's not anything she does regularly. And she just says it would really help me if you paid me in cash. And I'm like, okay, I'll go to the ATM before I see you.
Have you ever had a session with Michelle?
No. Yeah, a long time ago.
She's so cute. She's like, she told me she prefers cash, so I bring this cash to the first session, and at the end of it, I give it to her. She's like, I love cash, like some kind of cash monster. And it was delightful. So now, like, I give her cash just because it's like,
She gets so happy.
there is that. It's really funny.
I actually don't like getting cash. I mean, I know you can.
Declaring my name.
Yeah, I get so little.
I think they're mine too.
You should. You absolutely
It
should.
feels good. It's
Yeah.
business income.
Yeah.
I always say I don't make enough to lie to the IRS.
When I make enough, I'll lie, damn it.
Get that offshore account.
I'm putting that on private tonight. Okay, so some tips around the selling interaction. Remember, selling is not the goal. This is really, really important. Selling is not the goal. The goal is an authentic interaction grounded in service. If your offer is in service to them, it will flow easily. Don't sweat it too much. You're talking because they're interested. Or they're reading your landing page because they're interested. Yeah? They're not just vaguely surfing. They're probably not going to be a client anyway. Yeah? Allow this to be a natural conversation. I'm about to give you steps, but we don't want it to feel like a step procedure, right? If you know they're in a different city, ask about the weather. If you know a mutual friend referred the person, note that, laugh together, etc. The outline below adapt depending upon your circumstances, whatever the circumstances are. Just adjust it as it makes sense. Practice and allow yourself to learn. You'll get better at it. This is something that the Jesse and Charlotte people at Thrive call heart selling. Mark Silver calls it sacred selling. I can't remember his name, calls it sessions that sell. Be willing to notice that, again, we come to this underline, be willing to notice the places along the way you feel constricted, uncomfortable, blocked, etc. This is ecology. Make friends with it, accept it, don't beat yourself up for it, and be willing to work with it later on. You know? So my bad place is the place where they start getting vague at the end. And they're in the I don't know. I still don't have a really, there are effective approaches to that. It hits my ecology, I get weird. And I notice it.
When what happens?
I say, so shall we get started? And they're like, well, I don't know.
You mean we're working together?
Yeah. Okay. So, steps. Number 1, ground and resource yourself beforehand. If you know you've got a free session coming up, you know, try not to go into a frazzle. Start out, this is what I do, and I think it's very useful. Outline the interaction with the person. So, hi, you know, is it ready to chat? Okay, can I just tell you what we're going to do and how I structure these 45-minute conversations? And they'll go, sure. And then just tell them, you know, the way I do it is I say, well, we're going to talk for about 20 or 30 minutes or so about something that's going on for you and see if we can get some insight into what's going on. And then after that, you can ask me any questions you have about my practice and fees and stuff like that. And then at the end, if we feel like we're a good match, I'll invite us to make an appointment. Or I'll invite you to consider a program or something like that. And they're like, that sounds good. It's just super clean. It's almost more for you because then later you don't have to feel creepy about bringing up the offer. Because you told them that's what you're going to do. And of course that's what they expect.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah. And for those people who occasionally call you just to get the free session, at least you've been really clear with them that this is a consultation towards possibly purchasing. So again, it doesn't have to be funny. Okay, establish rapport, chemistry, friendliness, be genuinely interested and curious. Find out for yourself and for them what is the current problem. In NLP land, we call the PS. Now, this may sound super simple, but as you well know, many people don't know these. You have given them a service if this is all you do. Yeah? So you're talking to someone and they're like, yeah, the attic's been messy forever. And you say, what will having that do for you? And you'll say, well, actually, it's not safe for the house that it's like that. So having this organized will help you and your family feel safe. Yeah. Wow, that seems like a big deal. It'd be my honor to help you out with that. You know, whatever it is. Yeah. Okay. What have they tried to get there that hasn't worked, if anything? Okay. Offer a few tidbits. You'll be doing this naturally as part of the conversations. Even good questions are service, yeah? Insights, ahas, you can ask. If you have genuine other resources, oh my God, there's a book you got to read. Half of the clients I call, it becomes really clear they've got a borderline parent. I almost always mention the Borderline Mother book to them. Or I just say, gosh, have you ever thought about whether your dad was borderline? What's that mean? I explain it. Oh, they have new information. Anyway, that sort of thing. Not too much, though. If they feel satisfied by the conversation, they won't be motivated to consider the offer, and your service to them ends there. Okay? You want them to notice their hunger. Yeah? Then there's a transition here. Before you can move into your offer fully, your client needs two things, and so you want to be discerning if they have these two things. They need to know enough about you to make an informed decision, aka they need to have a sense of enough relationship, connection, understanding about what you offer, yeah, all that stuff. That's basically the trust piece, yeah? And they need to have a feeling of being seen and witnessed, that you know and understand. You get their problem and their desire. And you can feel, yeah, when you've kind of hit that place, and when you haven't. And these are not, you don't need super, there's calibration skills and all that business, but there's nothing super duper skillful about this. You just got to be listening pretty well. So when you've reached this spot, you ask them what questions they have for you. The way Mark Silver puts this, which I think is really nice, is at this point to say, so now that we've had this lovely conversation about all this. What were you hoping I could do for you? Then basically they're asking you to give them the offer rather than you just saying it to them, yeah? Does that make sense? But it also gives them a chance to say, well, how much do you cost? Or do you think this will help me? Or, you know, how does this work? Or whatever their questions might be. This is a good time to name the price. It's a perfectly appropriate time to name the price. Just be clean about it. State it with simplicity and dignity, you know, whatever it is, the price, whether you have sliding scales, whether you don't, you know, all that stuff. I want to mention here what to do if the topic comes up too early. This is, for many people, kind of an awkward thing. It's
on their part.
Yeah, so they get on the phone, hey, Joshua, you do NLP sessions. Yeah, how much do they cost? This is what I say, and I think that there's people say something like that, which is, and this is true for all of us, in some way or another. At this point, I don't know what you're working with or on, and I have kind of a bunch of different services that might be the right match for you, or none of the above. I'm not sure. Can we spend a little time getting to know what it is that you're wanting, and then I'll be able to answer that question for you a lot better.
I do a variation of that.
Yeah, so can you tell me a little bit more about what's going on? I'd really like to know. Yeah, whatever version of that.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't it feel good to be asked that? Here's the dilemma, and it's, you know, you go and you look at the jeans, you look at the price. You just do. We all do it. There's nothing disrespectful about them asking you the question about price right out of the there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is if you say $200, all they can do is react to a dollar sign, a 2, and 2 zeros, and whatever meaning they make out of that in their head. It's not connected to anything. If it's connected to a new Mercedes, it's awesome. You're going to write a check now. If it's connected to going to the movies, you're going to say, you got to be kidding me, right? There's no way to evaluate that. Now, you cannot get around that some people are just going to react to certain numbers. Anything over 100, they're going to go, ah! Or whatever their own personal. When I was talking with Mark about his coaching, I'm sure that the number for him, if I had looked at it 4 years ago, would have just been impossible. But now I've seen all the different coaching, and Carolyn's saying, I went to something and they all paid $12,000 for a program, and Mark's half that. You know, I know what the range of prices is out there. My reactions to these numbers have changed over the years as I understand the context better. So you only have 45 minutes. You have to help them understand what it is that you're offering, and then at least it's going to sound congruent to them. That may still end up going, whoa. Now for you guys, I just want to offer this. What I will often say before I answer the question is, one of the things I want you to know is that we work in 2-hour-long sessions. We go very deeply, we work with your unconscious, and we get a chunk of work done. I don't know about you, but the 50-minute hour, it's usually around minute 45 that I just get started. And then you have to kind of start all over again next week. Well, we get a real chunk of work done, and you wouldn't come back the next week for that. It's like, you know, deciding you need 3,000 calories a day and eating it all at breakfast. We can't integrate it that way. So most of my clients see me once every 3 or 4 weeks. And so per month, per session, it's going to be more expensive than, say, your average therapy session. But per month, it's actually going to be lower. And then I tell them the price. We got to give them something to compare it to. Because it does, I mean, when you say a session's $235 and they're used to paying their therapist $95, it does feel a little shocking. You know? So you might find, and that's what people who do sales in front of groups do. They say, if you did blah, 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 it would cost you $10,000, but this is only $4,000. So you can find a similar comparison of some sort. And there's always, you know, the sort of what's the cost of this not getting addressed, you know, a fire starting in the attic or something, or the amount of stress you feel when, you know.
Another answer to what do you charge at the start of a conversation this coach gave was, well, basically a variation on what you said. It depends on what you want. My prices range anywhere from 500 to 5,000. So he could give some kind of broad ballpark.
Yeah.
And I've done that somewhat in the past, especially when it's very specific, like book production.
Yeah.
Like it depends on the level of complication in your project.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
projects this, some projects that, and then they start to fill out.
Yeah.
My first session is $5,000.
Yeah.
I never stood up to that.
And they're free after that.
You get
Okay.
Free
So last two steps, I'm way behind, sorry. As always, Leslie's doing what she's always doing. When that's all done, and you feel like you're at the place, if it really feels like a good fit, it really feels like a good fit, and I'd like to help you, shall we get started? That's a Jesse and Charlotte one I rather like. Or just simply, can we make an appointment? Something like that. If they say yes, excellent. If they say no, excellent. It's a clean no is something to be thankful for. You can say, you know, if you change your mind, I'm here. If you have any questions afterwards, let me know. Can I put you on my email list so you can keep up to date on upcoming events, whatever you want to offer as a way to stay connected? But if they say that they're not sure, again, Mark Silver has a whole teaching about this. Jesse and Charlotte have this whole dancing with concerns thing. I'm not going to get into this. Basically, what you want to do is get clarity about what they're not sure about. I don't know if I can afford it. Is the money going to come in this month for that? I have to talk to my partner first. You know, I have to check with my therapist, which is always fun. Whatever it is. Sometimes it's something you can address right in the interaction. You can answer it. Oh, well, I'm glad you mentioned that because blah, 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 and it's taken care of. But whatever it is, say, okay, that sounds great. Can I shoot you an email in a week and see how that's going for you? And get an agreement about how you're going to interact again as a follow-up. Sometimes they'll say, no, I really prefer to connect with you instead. And that's basically them feeling bad about saying no to you. And let them do it the way they need to. It's just respectful. Say, okay, I look forward to hearing from you.
What's them feeling bad?
When they do something like, no, I'll let you know if I want to do it. Yeah? They just don't want to say no because they don't want to hurt your feelings.
I love when people have to check with their spouse.
Well, and that's usually not going to be the case until you get really expensive items, and they really do need to collaborate on household budgets for things.
I've had people say that to me, though.
Really? I've heard that that's an issue for people, and I've never had a client ever say it to me, ever.
It doesn't happen.
I have.
And do whatever you can do to stay in the relationship, if at all possible. Okay? Say tu. Okay. So, reviewing all of this and everything we just talked about, I would like to give you a moment's silence to list the top 3 triggers around selling for you from this lecture or from things that I may not even have mentioned. I freeze when they ask the price. I feel weird when they say I don't know at the end. I don't even want to start the conversation. Whatever it is. Your top 3. Or shall we revise it as 3 that you can notice for now?
issues around pricing? Is that
Sure.
or is it?
If you can be specific about that, that'd be great. If you can't, that's okay. Elevator's busy tonight. Got 3 good enough ones?
One,
If you've got your 3, circle the top one, the biggest one. Or shall we put it the one you want to work on right now?
I got 3.
The problems are here, so.
Feel free.
Yeah.
We only have one ecology objection anyway. We just manifest it in different ways, just to give ourselves some variety.
Although the intimacy thing,
So how is this one like? I've been having these great conversations, but I haven't been moving from the conversation into an actual sale. I've left it at, oh, you really think you should work with me? Cool, like let's do that sometime.
Like any other time will do.
I mean, I haven't said that. I'm just trying to. I don't even know what I've said. I just know that I've had these great conversations and I haven't actually sold any of them. I think it's because like it didn't start out as a selling conversation. It was just a normal conversation, and it was a different context. And
That's different. That is different, and you're actually respecting something important. So Mark Silver talks about different journeys in marketing. The first journey in marketing is, I don't know anything about you, I'm a stranger, I want to find out more. If it's just a brand new conversation at an event or something, that's the first journey. You don't do the second journey, which is, I've decided to find out more about you and to start to build a relationship with you and your materials, like get on your e-list, that kind of thing. Until the first and second's done, the sell is like the third. Okay?
would it be
So sometimes, there are times when you can go through all 3 in a single conversation, from stranger to client, not that common. But you want to find some way to stay connected. So the best way to do it is get an email and say, can I put you on my list?
would it also be appropriate to say like, well, cool, like, would you like to schedule one of these consultation calls?
Totally. I do these free consultations. I'd really, it seems like we're having a great conversation.
it's like, great, I've got swear here.
Your package.
So wait, is that actual ecology or is that just me not knowing?
It's probably just you not knowing how, yeah.
Okay.
It's probably not ecology.
I'm not sure which one to pick.
Then choose the worst one.
The worst one and the.
Just choose one.
Yeah.
Okay?
Can you help me? I have.
Can you help me?
Leslie, what's my problem?
I'm really having trouble with this because I think I'm pretty good with selling. I think my biggest problem is having the stream of people into these
Right.
conversations.
Right.
which maybe feels a little off topic. And the best
Yeah.
one I've got is, I don't even know if these really, I mean, maybe the worst one is like, I sometimes feel too needy and desperate. Maybe I could still work with that, but I don't know. It feels like I'm reaching.
Is the not getting people in the first place? You're not getting yourself out there. People aren't finding out about you. You're not marketing enough, that kind of thing.
I think so.
Okay. Is that a safety issue?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so different pairs, and now because we're missing John, we're going to have to use the cards. Okay, so there are 3 roles. When it is your constellation, you're going to be you, and the other person is going to do 2 different roles. So it's going to be the step in and then step out, find yourself again, step into the other one. Yeah, you're going to have to report on both of them. Okay, so here's the way I'm going to do it. Can you just role model with me for a moment? Let's just get enough in the pictures. That's going to be too much. Okay, so let's say Carolyn was the client, the person, so she's going to be herself. And I'm just going to put 2 cards. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to even ask you to write on it, so I can use the cards again. But one of them is going to be the issue, the fear, the whatever it is, the ecology issue, yeah? Try and name it slightly precisely, you know, as precisely as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Get a report, yeah? Have a little interaction, yeah? You step off, and then how have I named it here? So if this is the fear at the heart of a trigger, that's the way I named it here. This is a resource for that fear. Okay. Now, this is the rule about index card constellations. This is really important. As long as there's a card, it's as if we had 2 people here at all times. So even though only a person is on only one of the cards, this representation is still wholly here. Okay, that's really important. So this one is feeling both of these here. And what you might do with the second one, just start out with this one first. Step off, and then bring in this representation. So I want this one without the resource first. So it can be kind of a clean interaction. Then bring this in. So they'll notice not only the interaction with this, but how this changes. And then you might need to step back and forth a few times, see how the fear responds to having this resource here. Yeah? About 10 minutes each. Okay? Go for it. Sure.
Oh, man.
Actually, can I use the restroom real quick first?
And can one of you just kind of do this in front of, just so that John sees one of them happening? You can move this if you need to. It doesn't have to be electrified.
Okay.
Or you can just do it in this space, however you want to do it.
Yeah.
Just so that John can be seen.
Should I
2
do yourself first?
Yes.
Do you have your fear or trigger clearly?
Yeah. Do you name it?
Yeah, I guess you.
Oh.
Okay, so I feel like it's just start hiding away. Really crunchy, really defended. Get out of the model, please.
We're using the cards?
Oh, put it down.
Oh.
This
Oh, okay. Interesting. What is it?
What's up for you?
It's like, I've heard this song before. It feels very, very familiar, and also kind of like an energy that's been there for a long time. So it's like overly so familiar that you're like, yeah, whatever.
Just hearing you say that makes this a little more.
Sure. So isn't that supposed to be the ecology?
Yeah. So the next one's a resource for that. What was that for you?
When you stepped in? Oh, something playful.
I feel like
Yeah. Because of the reference to the attic, I had this reference to like a playroom with big windows and like toys and. That's a lot of resources in one romper room.
and like I'm heat on you, and like really bored over here. This is sad.
Yeah, but this needs to be interesting. Or have we pre?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna step back a
Oh,
little
okay.
bit, but like for now, I'm just noticing that.
Yeah, this is my.
What
So that's constantly, the old ladies in the attic. Well, we're gonna go have fun. She's still in the attic.
Since I'm floating around, if there's anything you need.
I feel really sad. Like I'm with that.
And I'm gonna invite you just to hold it up to like you're looking at someone in the eye, so not down at the, and it helps sort of.
I also felt like there was an inclusion.
Well, you have to look each other in the eye, but look as if you're looking at a person rather than
Yeah.
down at a card.
Yeah, no, just like I saw the big sun face, and I was like,
Right.
yeah, like what overshadows the sadness of feeling left out of it is like
I can't. I've heard this one. So.
and it's like oh wow. It's like,
It's kind of heartbroken.
yeah, but it's familiar, it's safe, it's like home.
Yeah, it's also like, why should she? Maybe that energy is like so much patterning.
Oh, but somewhere inside me is a desperate longing to break out of it.
Which doesn't change the fact that you're gonna, okay, that's the rule. But when this is the fear of the trigger. Right. So it's some part of you that feels very small. Oh, yeah. this one?
I see you.
See you. Weird.
That's a brand true.
Yeah. There's a lot more that could be said that I don't know.
Can you encapsulate it
I mean,
I invite you when you do that, just support Sophia a little bit. Cards. Something about that.
this feels much different. I'm no longer bored by this one. I'm more avoiding. It's more like I want to make myself available. It feels right to say, I'm here for you too. Don't know if just tired or.
There's a lot of energy in your
Yeah.
too.
Obviously, one of the dilemmas of this format is that you can't make physical contact. But if you can figure out some way to sort of communicate that, if that's what's wanted or where it's going. And it may not, I'm just.
I kind of want you two to like hold hands.
Kind of want to like fall back into the support of this one. Would it work to try imagining that?
Yes, and you can also like put something like this here, and you can't fully lean against it, but if you, it gives you something.
I just felt the whole like relaxing.
I could actually go outside.
It feels like this energy is not what it was before.
Yeah. Feels like whatever this is, kind of partnership with the same, more resourceful than the opposite.
I wonder what this was. I mean, I just gave it to you as sort of like the problem in my mind. But basically, it was like a torture. So, like, I want this. Well, it's actually what it was is I want to charge what I want to charge, but I feel embarrassed about asking. And that prevents me from just going.
I mean, what I have is not safe enough. Deserve.
So I guess it's back to John's deserve kind of thing. except I have an easy time telling people, putting it on the website. Then it's out there. Well, I'm doing it. I've never put my regular pricing on the site, but now I'm starting to because I want these one-off conversations. I mean, so it feels like it's yeah, it's a new level of declaring. Yeah, that's right. Okay. You want me to do what I did, what you did?
Race.
Sounds like I actually did a little bit.
Yeah, you can do it however just completely.
The first one you did for
Oh yeah.
designated problem.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So super sad. Super ashamed. I feel really young. The quivering.
And as you're coming in, I had this like shivery and like which shifted to like just like other stuff to like purpose.
This one wants comforting, but can't allow. I can't even say no. Sad and alone.
Yeah, that's
Has nothing to do with you, huh, Joshua?
I'd rather call this belligerent self-pity. Okay, so.
So you step off. And then you can bring the resource in.
Feels like I'm at the edge of the ocean. All that amazing air. Desire to like go, the wave's coming, I don't know, surfing metaphor comes up. Really, I got, and take a more breath than normal. Really strong desire to get into the water. Really go swimming. Full body on fire.
I just say it was such a relief.
Yeah. Okay. A little bit of a challenge here too. Thinking about wanting to challenge you and invite you. I'm not a sumo wrestler.
What's your experience with the other one?
Yeah. It's hard to see this one. This one is on the floor. Concern? Confusion? What are you doing there? go surfing. Yeah, let's do a little checking. So super scary. Feels really good.
Peter is on the streets, never sees himself, but is
Is there a place where you can? What would it be like to try to be?
Well, this one could like hold my hand and we could go to the edge of it. But it's too
I'm curious what this one's answer would be then.
yeah.
Maybe no, is that a yes?
Yeah, that's what okay.
Do things look less tall when one's
Yes.
standing up?
Yeah. So yeah, I could do the hand thing, water thing. Not too deep, not too cold.
Would it help to put that chair there?
Sure.
Seriously, which way?
Actually, I was, can we both face you?
Yeah.
As if you're sort of oh, is it better? Much better. This one? Yeah. I can't do it.
This is just awesome.
What happens with that? What happens with that? This one here.
Oh, okay, good.
It's absolutely forced.
Yeah. I like the still it is one, but
Skill.
still. But I'm a little concerned this one doesn't quite see the limits this one operates.
Sure, we find out.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's got a, it's like, this one has so much confidence and experience. The whole book is like written for the master's level skill. This one needs, okay. This one needs the kindergarten version. I got one of those. Yeah, so like, let's sit and let's go over the kindergarten version together. Yeah.
Do you have like an age appropriate one for me too?
Oh, sure.
Dole it out to all.
It's whatever you need it to be.
Okay.
Seriously, it's whatever you need it to be. It doesn't have to be more advanced or less advanced. It can be exactly what you want. And whatever this part is, this one needs some experience with the fundamentals. But this one will catch up. And I can see that this one here forgot all those earlier steps.
It's the relationship.
Forgot all the baby steps. Forgot all the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of repetitions. So I mean, the conversation happened like, yeah, remember what it's like to be there, and also be at the beginning. And that's like exactly what we're learning the ABCs. That's it. It's awesome. We're gonna get them down and we'll go to the next thing. It's all gonna happen. That's what feels about that.
I mean, if we want to check.
Oh, yeah, this one's really happy. Like kindergarten, that's where wants to have the blankie in the back pocket. Or whatever version it is for you. Blankie. I guess I want to say to this one, will you be with me every step of the way? So now, yeah, definitely on that one. Isn't that kind of weird? This one's felt alone for so long.
Those are to say something like, I'm sorry you've been alone. Me? Yeah. Just to this part of myself, I guess. Is that, how does that feel to hear?
There's no sorry needed. That was the protection, the total protection. It's more like I need you to see, and that I need to grow at the appropriate pace is one of the or whatever age I'm at. Yes.
Yeah, this feels really on point.
Okay. Yeah, like there's almost like if you don't treat me appropriately, I will fall on the floor and have a tantrum. And then you'll see, you'll get nothing done. We'll do the best. Yeah. So this one is or invalidated present and to allow. It's very step by step, kindergarten way. That's how we do
Why is he? Yeah, that's what it's there for.
Yeah.
If I see you now, and I want you to have that achieved.
I can see the responsibility lies in this part too, to say, to learn how to articulate what I do. That's a new thing.
It's also a new thing for me to be listening for
Now I can do ring. That's a lot of accomplishment.
I wonder what that looks like in terms of sewing. I'm curious, like, what is kindergarten level or your level like putting services out there? This conversation.
You want that? And invite people to your party.
You guys need to wrap this up if you haven't already.
Perfect.
And be the whole that you've already done, right?
Thank you. I'm gonna write this.
Yes, we're ready.
Yep. So, don't get too settled.
Right?
No. If anyone needs to run off, run off.
I think.
Take the pee break.
I do too.
Then let's do that real quick right now. And the rest of you who are here can take a moment to journal or
Following that.
contemplate things.
Things and stuff. It's really funny.
That was amazing.
So good. Aren't these funny little constellations
They're great.
useful?
Yeah. This is part of why I'm like, God, why can't I do the constellations training? I missed the last weekend. I could do everything except the last weekend, and that feels significant for like a 3-weekend class.
It kind of is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There are only 3 weekends, and to build a sense of, I mean, even when you're done with that, you're like, fuck, I'm going to not facilitate.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Having said that, you would get to all the study groups.
Yeah.
We didn't have very many. People just had a hard time making.
So we had about 3 or 4 people who were utterly diligent, and then another 2 or 3 who made it occasionally. But I remember there were 3 of us who, it's me, Cynthia, Liz, David, and me. We weren't going to miss it.
Would you recommend any other constellations training?
That's interesting.
Well, 'cause I figure you would.
Elsewhere, I mean, there's one down in Santa Barbara you might consider, but all of them are like 2-year-long programs. It's really different model. And there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
They're trying to give you like some psychology background and
And I can imagine if one didn't have an NLP background, I feel like the NLP brings so much to it.
although plenty of people do the constellations training and that's all they do. Sure. NLP are in.
That's the like.
Yeah.
I just really love our blend.
Some training up in Seattle.
I would totally do something in Seattle. I now have a connection to Seattle. I don't want to live there, but I wouldn't mind spending time there in the summer when it's nice.
They have a training institute there that's got a pretty good reputation. I've always wanted to do Francesca Boring stuff. She does nature constellations. She's Native American. She's a real powerhouse.
I just love the concept of constellations. Like, I've never heard of them before.
I know, yeah, neither have I.
It's so obscure.
It's obscure, but it's wonderful. And people, it's amazing how many people we know, even outside of NLP Marin, that
Who
like,
have heard of it.
who have heard of it or are like really into it.
But we know weirdos.
We know lots of cool.
Oh, we also live in the Bay Area.
Sure.
Yeah.
We drink ayahuasca and do the constellations and such things, yeah. No, that's recorded. This is the intermediate recording.
It's fairly well known that people in the Bay Area are drinking a lot of ayahuasca.
Yeah, if there's a Wikipedia page for it, people know about it.
I will say I love that. I mean, this happens for me generally all the time, but like, so one of the clients that I got is exactly the client that I asked for. The language that she used for every single one of her things was like, feeling in life, blah, 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 yada, 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 all of these things.
No. Yeah.
Exactly the language that I had put on there. And it's fascinating because I didn't expect it, and it just sort of like all of a sudden she just kind of was directed towards me, and like we sat down and talked. But this whole piece of like seeing that person is resourceful when the energy that's up is a lot of like I'm not enough, and I'm like broken, and I have all these problems like that are just part of who I am. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So, like when that stuff comes out in class, it's like, oh, yeah, this is my stuff too. That because we do that with other people. You know?
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, decision point. We got to do mother work. But basically, that's all what we have time for. So all the ending stuff, another heart of business thing, any more of a break than what you just took, we're just going to have to leap into it. Okay. Well, we'll have enough time for it. With maybe a little, how you feeling at the end, kind of a thing.
Cool.
Okay. Okay, so the format is the same as with the fathers, but you're gonna have to do these with cards again. You're not gonna remember, I do understand. So groups of 2, and with 2 cards each. So I guess it's gonna be Peter with Beth and Carolyn with Joshua. It's the 3 roles are, when it's yours, it's you. And you're just you for the whole constellation. And then a card for the business. That'll be the first thing. You don't need to linger with that because we actually really, in fact, you can just write a card that says my business on it and just kind of leave it there. You're going to step into it eventually, but you don't need to just find out how you and the business are feeling because that's not what we're up to here. We immediately want to add in the third one, which is the version of the experience of your mother that is challenging for your business. The version of your experience of your mother that is challenging for your business. And remember, by the word experience, we mean conscious and or unconscious, probably predominantly unconscious, right? Find out about all that. Then take that card, or there isn't, well, you have to go back and forth between the business and that a little bit. But then you're going to take that card out because you're done with that representation. You're going to bring in a representation for the version of your experience of your mother that is resourceful for your business. Okay?
So we need another card?
Yeah. Take as many as you need.
All of the cards.
It's funny, my clients who do constellations with me, for Christmas gifts, they give me index cards and stuff.
Oh.
It's awesome. That's very sweet.
Okay, go at it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, no, we don't need them.
I'm going to do my very best to end you at 15 minutes each,
Per,
so 30 altogether.
Okay. You were here last. Do we want him to?
You can move it a little bit. Where would you like to be?
Maybe here. That'd be great, thank you.
Just try and speak up a teensy bit. You guys were being kind of quiet.
Okay.
Okay.
And you might move just a little bit away, just so it's a little perspective.
So,
Yeah, my stuff's.
yep.
Have at it.
Business. And then,
Alright, you can put it down and I'll tap you and I'll say.
yeah, because I can't remember
The version of my experience of my mother is challenging. You're welcome. Okay.
And you're a threesome, so notice the interaction between the two of you.
I'm scowling. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
What could be better?
Oh, this is good.
Does this matter? I mean, is this important to our work? I know this is really important.
Can you go to step into the business? My experience, my mother was not challenging. I mean, it is challenging, not supportive.
What? It's just
What is that?
lady.
What do you want to say to this one?
You know, it's just,
But you can tell me.
yeah, she's just like, I don't understand this, but I feel like I'm doing all right. And this does not feel normal. It's just like, I know she's family. I would just really prefer if she was not what happened after I did. Like, she looked at me different.
Yeah. We'll get there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We're gonna. Yeah, we'll get to it. Anything else here about hearing that? Or the relationship here. We didn't really talk about relationship. I know.
You would say that.
Oh, it would.
You would say that. You know, a little offended, and I'm not sure.
There's not really any.
It's not animosity. I just,
Okay.
it can be what little thing.
Thank you for your support. She said sarcastically. But you don't get this. Take that card away. All right, other card. Take it out. Are you sure that's the right one? I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. All right, let me give you that version of my mother. Is super awesome. I'm a wordsmith. I get to make up words. Totally do. Sure.
Yeah, it's with the feeling
Would you mind?
How does your job get into a board?
This feels good. That's so interesting. I know this isn't going anywhere, but there's like a bit of fascination. It's not
It's just funny because yesterday my brother said wonderment, and then he had to describe what that meant to him. It's so beautiful. Yes. He basically said, I understand how it works, and I'm still amazed. You seem more solid. Seems super light. Well, it is a new thing. That's falling right here. Superly awesome, resourceful.
Superly awesome.
Experience.
Yeah, very resourceful, very She sees me. Hi. It's like I've been invisible. See?
So can you say to Beth, your mom sees me?
Your mom sees me.
It's kind of like.
Grandma sees me playing.
Yeah, just do a constellation instead. Instead of all the work you're doing on
Serious source of mom.
What's up? It's like a very,
that.
it's like a
What was
I'm wondering if you could go back in here and have her say to me, I see you. Yeah.
The other version of mom is really mom. This mom is instead of that, she's what? She's there's that needs to be a mom. There you go. So can you just step out here then? I don't know.
The rest-
Just.
Well, I just, okay. That's what I want her to do. It's handleable, it's workable, it's.
I'm trying to in this class. It's a version of her singing. It's been a long time. Still doesn't get it.
Okay, the correction.
I don't know what's up with Sappy Romance.
What, do you know my fans or something, Mom?
I don't feel offended by that. Because my father reads. All right. I think we're good. All right. Woo!
Yay.
All right. Okay.
Alright, so.
All right. Where's your card? Right there. And start with this one. Oh, no, it's
Business, yes.
You guys gotta try to do 10.
Business.
We're both over 10 minutes rather than 15. Yay! Ready?
Yes. Yeah. You are the experience, my experience and my skills that
I know the word challenging. It's mom speaking already, right?
It's pretty cool. It's very
Go and play a little bit of support. I get it. I want to be there, yeah. Yeah.
Is it free?
Yeah, you can take this one
I
away.
don't know. I want the business. Gotta come back to the business. We gotta do this with people.
That's all it is, right? Yeah, this one's not very split. Sorry. Sorry to say that. This one doesn't respect that. Tell her. Not conducive. Sorry.
You're good.
Okay, all right. You got it.
You got it.
And now what?
That's
I
from.
think you got the bit.
I think we got it. Yes. Experience. Supreme nuance.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Show me your feet.
Moms.
Really amazing. I know what's happening, but it looks like
Pretty cool.
it's like all this energy. This one, I feel like I want to help it any way that I can. More research. How can I help?
Is this the new one or the?
This is the biz to the new one. So you came from this? That's pretty awesome. Okay. That's really cool. I can see there's something. She's really fun. Really bright. There's something bright. There's this wonderful heart that can get too. Yeah. You have a good son. Really? From her? Yeah. Telling her that you have. There's something really bright about. I can see the gifts that you bring. I can see the lineage. Something bright. It's like again, I saw it. I felt it like this thing over there. Now it's I see it. It's like sun.
Okay, you said your business, so it's your lineage too.
I did too. Oh, good. It's good. Shake hands. I feel it now. It's a very, I know it's like an iconography. It's like joy. That's what that really is. It's joy and it's embodied. And I see it. I see it through the now. Now I feel like I'm getting it. Wow. And it's kind of like the hugging magic, you know? Right? Is that what you're doing? Hugging medicine. No, but I mean, no, there's some serious hugging medicine happening. And when you tap into the lineage, it is super powerful. It's just, holy crap. Oh, got some Viking hugs in there, man. Right? I got some Irish hugs. Yeah, I think there's some Jewish in there. Yeah. Italian hugs. Yeah. Yeah, the whole menu there. Can I say to you, thank you. Well, you created it. Okay, okay, go ahead. No. Yes, it's really good. And to continue to write in the resources you're very, there's a lineage here, super rich. Feels it. So strong.
See you and appreciate you as a resource.
Yeah, we're so here and like. So just yourself, Valhalla, like this drinking hall, like this community. It's not just you. It's that. You bring that. You're bringing this incredible sense of. I wouldn't say community, because you bring it in, but it feels like you have that resource. So the ones who sing and joy, celebration, also sense because that raising thing. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Everyone, we're actually not behind because you guys did that faster than I thought. Also, with it only 2 per,
Yeah.
I had actually scheduled for 3, right? So,
Oh, right.
so take a little time in silence, do a little writing, take any notes. Either from this one or the one that was about your ecology issue. Anything you want to remember or capture? Like, nice deep integrating breaths, very useful. And a good
by
one.
four. You heard this phrase, clue by four?
What type?
Clue by four?
No.
It's a clue in 2x4 form. That you
Oh,
get
I've
backwards.
never heard that phrase before. Get a clue.
It's the painful version of a clue.
I just love the way, if you guys ever listen to Card Talk, those guys are great. And they're like, yeah, just give them a dope slap.
What's a dope slap?
Oh, it's one where you do the this, you know, when someone says something stupid, you know,
Got it.
wake them up.
Oh, that's so good.
It's sort of a country thing to do. So write your last few words about that, and if there's something else you want to write, and write down a word about that so you know what it is that you want to remember. Okay. And at this point, we have 17 minutes left. Enormous amount of time.
There's a lot in these little pockets, these little
Um,
contained pockets.
Do you want to spend all that time chatting, or do you want to leave the last, 4 or so minutes for a heart of business check-in? Okay. So you'll need to be brief, and you can, I invite you to share on these constellations if you want, if there's an aha or an insight that's just really important, and or what you'd like to do for the next 2 weeks around your business. 2 minutes per person, that'll be 8 minutes.
Oh, so we're going to do a round and then
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, what are we sharing?
Anything you want, really.
Anything. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
And what's
the
next?
obvious options are anything you got out of today, right? Some people may have something like, I just got to really share the aha ad about my mom, or something you want to accomplish in the next 2 weeks. If you want accountability, run that.
Can I start?
Yeah, Josh is like on the edge of his seat. I want to talk.
So the clue by 4 is I try and hold myself to my insane standards. And the more that you know me, but he knows what these are. I mean, you see me bring my own tea to NLP class because, yeah, I have the tea that I love. It's just like, I'm this way all the time. Like, yeah, I used to spend all my time on Facebook ranting about things that weren't good enough until he was like, it doesn't look so cute.
What a good friend.
It's not super business attractive, right?
Or anything attractive. But it's still there, and I'm like, I'm not pessimistic. I just see all of the ways that things can be even better. What I really mean is like even not worse. Yeah, it's like I look at myself and I see myself so often as like not measuring up to standards. And there are things that do, like I rarely able to do that. And it's just like, I don't even know what I want to do with that yet. I'm just letting it like sink in. Like that's been invisible to me. Like I know how I look at the world, and I haven't thought of myself under that same gaze. But when I do, I go, like that's not helpful in the least. And so it's just like, I'm like a little dazed by it.
Well, did you notice the curative, right? Feeling your mother's pride for you, and then being able to internalize it.
It's hard not to frame that as you have to say that you're my mom.
That's all right.
But of course, there was the mom that didn't have to say that at all. So, So that's fine. Thank you.
Mom really wanted to say that. Not because she had to. She wanted to say that.
And I also want to reframe, just because kind of moms have to say that doesn't mean, that's why it fits. Yeah?
That's why it fits.
Parental pride for their children is proper to parenting. Yeah. And,
It's probably a really useful resource.
And what I remember the frame that if we do constellations, then we've changed the system. We've introduced a new element, okay?
Yeah.
So it's not just something you have to remember.
Yeah.
D next.
Oh, well, Tuesday.
Okay. Really cool thing about my constellation was I had a love fest with my mom. That just felt so good. So that was really sweet, and I just really felt it. It was really great. And in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to try to work on that email and send it out because Leslie says it's just an experiment.
Right. My aha is that whenever I am feeling this strange push-pull, so mine was, I'm embarrassed about being expensive, but I don't want to lower my prices. So it was like I'm stopping myself from promoting what I have because I'm putting my prices online. And what came out of that first piece we did was deserving, not deserving, kind of just came up, bubbled up at the end. And I just realized that whenever I'm in that weird bind, I want this, but I can't show anyone that I want this. It's kind of like a little like, oh, look, there's something under the surface there about worth and deserving. And that just is a wonderful sort of unloosening for me of just noticing that I am stepping out. I am saying, I'm putting my prices online, which I don't normally do, except in a very contained frame, like the program or something. This is different. This is kind of telling the world this is my going rate, and we're going to work around that, So as I say that, I can feel the parts of me just rearranging to find ways to make that okay, and just noticing, just kind of dancing with that. As I edit the page, I feel that I will be able to really get to work through that. That's how I am. I have to get in there. I have to be really hands-on, and I can start to feel it all. And I'm going to get that done by Friday. Yep, and I'm going to put up the next draft. I'll send you guys the link, and I'll send other group of people who give me feedback. And I might test it out in a little bit wider circles, too. We'll see how I feel. If it's ready to go, I'm just going to go boom, and then people can give me feedback, and I can adjust.
Yeah, that's the nice thing to know about publishing a web page is that it's adjustable. It's
totally
editable.
adjustable. Yeah, I feel pretty good with everybody's feedback. There is one thing that I might come to you guys. No, we'll deal with it later if I have questions. And then, I've got a lot of other things. So we're meeting again in 2 weeks.
That's right, and coaching call a week from today.
We're meeting here in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
So by then,
that's what we do every 2 weeks. We're doing that every 2 weeks for 2 months now.
Seems like it's so much fun.
Yeah, every 2 weeks feels like a life.
It's like a month.
So I will bring some fun. I want to show off the cover, so I'll bring up.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And I'll share it around online too.
That'd be awesome. Yes.
Give
us an opportunity to buy it.
Yeah, it'll be online. And there's a lot of other things going on that you don't need to know about. It's all good. It's all good stuff. Oh, and just one fun thing. I'm going to San Francisco Science Fiction Network himself.
Cool.
My bookmarks. So,
yay.
and my little sign-up lists. And show off. I do. I show off on purpose because it's fun. They're all wearing costumes. My costume gets to be my big mouth. So.
What is your costume?
I don't wear a costume.
Oh, you don't? Oh, I got it.
I just talk big. Well, no, I wear my leather jacket. I just don't do costumes. I just keep getting.
I just
cosplay.
discovered this is called cosplay.
Cosplay. Yeah.
I had no idea that was what it was called.
No, now it's a huge thing. It's quite amazing.
There's a furry fandom.
That's
a whole other
different
thing. And then there's also a clockwork or something. There's a steampunk conference too. So I get to meet one of my clients who's writing steampunk, who's going to come to this to the conference I'll be at.
PTL.
Ah, well, shit. So takeaway from the first one, we all have all the resources that we need. And it's funny because, as I mentioned a little earlier, you know, this is what's been running in my head around the client that I saw. In noticing in the ways that I haven't seen her as okay, or maybe like being resourceless, and seeing this like in myself where I'm like feeling resourceless in certain areas, and we all have all the resources that we need, which is really like powerful. And I'm still sometimes I'm like how do I find it? I'm like, well, I've got the toolkit. You know, like I know how to work with the toolkit. So I feel like I really want to spend some more time with resource exploration in myself, actually. Would be really nice. And because they're there, I just haven't necessarily like always felt them, you know. So yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. And then with Mom, that was really a mindfuck. The first version of my mother, as I write it down, makes sense. But when I was sitting there, I'm like, who are you? Like, this doesn't feel like the way that I feel about my mom, except as I write it down, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it's
just
that.
the aspect that's challenging for your
Sure,
business.
yeah,
It's not the whole mom.
Well, no, and the vacancy, like there was a vacant not seeing the business and wanting to leave, not being resourceful at all. And there are moments when I think of my mom and I'm like, mom is mom, and I have to take care of her. And she doesn't have much to offer now. Like, these are my own sort of internal stuff sometimes. And to see mom as resourceful was just and connected to this lineage was almost like whoa, really? Like that's freaking cool. Like I think I've had this piece about my mom. It's just been like I love her, but not necessarily seeing her as a resource in the present, feeling disconnected from that whole side of it. Not from my mom specifically, but everybody behind my mom. And seeing, was it like the lineage of hugs? Like there was like this whole thing that was coming up. Something with like games and drinking. It's like Irish Jewish thing with powerful mom's a resource. Italian. Yeah. Seeing my business and then passing on the lineage to my business. And then I wrote in here, high five, let's do this. Because that's sort of what we did. And also the other thing was talking to my mom and saying, I see you as a resource.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. In some sense, every parent wants to hear the kids say that virtually.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just really like, I feel like I've got this whole other dimension to my lineage now. Like I've been sort of blind spotting that.
Yeah.
So it's really lovely.
Sweet.
Next 2 weeks, I'll be doing its life cycle. So I'll be literally like part of a roving band of 4,000 people heading down day by day from San Francisco to Los Angeles, and really excited for it. And I'm also nervous. And I need to go buy a dress and some other things. Don't feel particularly prepared, but let's do this with my fiance, which is really awesome. So I'm really looking forward to it. So I hope to see you guys in 2 weeks.
Okay. Will you be on the call in a week, or are you already gone?
Yeah, so I'll be on call in a week.
Okay, great.
And I'll
But there's bunches of bits you can skip through, so
Yeah.
it's more like 2 hours maybe when you're done with the parts you can skip over.
It's like if I miss it, it's like almost as good as gone. It's like a Herculean effort sometimes for me to sit down and watch them.
Yeah.
You can also listen.
Yeah, that's
A lot of what we do
actually
is audio, I don't know, auditory.
Yeah. The first video I listened to was really crappy audio, and I think they're better now. So
It's true, you talk very low.
that's
Yeah.
like that's what I'm doing for the next
Yeah.
2 weeks. And I would also love it if by the time I saw you guys again, I'd sent that
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
people. So yeah.
The other thing to do is you could get a buddy to just summarize the high points of the meeting for you if you're not going to listen to the video. Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yep.
Can I be a resource for those who need help with writing? Not just an accountability buddy.
Mhm.
I know how hard it is, guys.
Mhm.
You don't have to, you don't. But I'm just offering that up just as a resource.
Thank you.
I'm here.
Thank you.
I know how hard it is.
Sometimes.
That's why I do this.
Well, and she's actually got it written.
No,
She just has to hit send.
Leslie wrote it, and then I changed a little bit.
That's it. She needs to get it back in her voice because I
Yeah.
went a little too far.
But no, that'd be great.
Use me. Or
Yeah, that'd be great.
One, I just want to, because I've been thinking about this, I'm just going to reflect it back to you. I had 2 clients yesterday, and one client, like if I had said the dumbest reframe in the universe, she would have soaked in every resource. There was like no effort. She was just a resource sponge. And her issue was, it was an addiction. It's a marijuana addiction. It's a very serious thing. So I was expecting it to be really blocked and hard, and she was just El Resorso Sponjo. The one earlier in the day had some more conventional issues around anxiety, and I had to do handsprings to find something her system would say yes to. So I find that people are on that spectrum. Yeah. And that could be a chemistry thing between me and the person. That's not my impression. At least it's not solely about that. But there are people who are, depending upon the issue and how long they've been working it and where they're at in their life, are just like, yes, I'm willing to take all of the reframes and changes you offer me, and other people are just, it's just terrifying, and everything is there to keep it from happening, and the IPOs are just running the show. Intended positive outcomes. So anyway, I just wanted to name that. That's a real thing. And I said there's got to be a resource. There's got to be something that our system's going to say yes to, and I just kept on trying and trying and trying and trying. I had the I-Access all unpacked by 30 minutes before the end, so all I needed to do was resourcing for 30 minutes. I thought I'm going to be done early. At a quarter after, I was just finally feeling like something had gone in. That's how many things I had to offer a system before. So anyway, and then for me, next 2 weeks, finish the stuff that my coach has given me. By then I will have had the workshop, so that will be 15 people.
Yay.
Imagine it with me, folks. Visualize it.
I'm seeing 20 people at that workshop.
Awesome.
I really am.
Excellent, excellent. I've been saying 10 to 20, but 20 would be awesome. And then what else do I have to do? Basically big chunk stuff. I mean, basically I have to take everything I'm learning and doing with you with Mark, and he wants me to sit down and like figure out what could this look like programmatically for the next year.
For one person?
No, just for everything.
Oh, okay.
Programs,
Oh, I see.
everything.
That would be like the revenue map or something?
Before that, sort of what's the structure and the content of the programming?
Oh, the actual content.
Yeah, not the whole content, but basically like a 4-month program that does what?
I see.
A 6-month program that does what? You know, that sort of thing. So I got to do that. Something else I'm thinking of, but I've forgotten. But it's busy. I'm getting a lot done. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting nothing done. I sit down and I do Facebook for an hour. Yeah. Okay. Off to your heart of business meditation.
Oh.
And the night.
A new person or the same? Or
Well, you've paired with everybody, so you can start over, or who's catching your eye right now, or
Well, we can circle back.
Real quick,
We
just
gotta
to check
do
and
a
see.
fast one.
And the reason for doing the beginning at the end is just to do a little compare and contrast.
So maybe we should do it with the video.
Here, I'll bring it over. Don't worry about it.
Oh, thank you.
So this is good. That's good. So let's see. Very good.
All right,
Okay.
All right.
this works. So much has happened.
Okay.
All right, part of my
Oh, this feels familiar.
Yeah, it just came to me what you did before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it came back. Yeah, I'm feeling similar than I felt before, but I'm feeling a little lighter, and I'm feeling more. I feel kind of like some joy. So it's kind of sweet, and yeah, it's lighter than when we did it at its first.
Okay.
So that's nice. Yeah. Kind of softened up. Yeah. Before it was kind of like cruising around and moving kind of fast and
Yeah.
everything, and now it's sort of like settled down a little, a little more relaxed.
I mean, both ways are good.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm cruising, sometimes I'm chilling.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any reflections back around this issue about preserving the work? And that's right, because we were starting to bring in the conversation. So,
We did that with some money.
and then I have another thing.
Yeah.
So if we not talk about it, it's funny, but talk about it. Preserving.
Yeah, I'm just noticing. Josh is noticing.
Just feeling kind of intellectual.
Intellectual conversation.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't feel like it's that way at all.
I guess I'll say this too.
Okay.
So
I deserve to get paid well for everything I offer. Is that me?
How did you believe that?
Waiting for that answer or not, something along the, yeah, okay. Yeah, so your take is, I don't believe it, or you don't believe me, I don't believe, what? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm not sure that rings true.
How about we just say, I would like to
I would like to.
believe, or, deserve, I would like to give it deserve, try that.
Okay, I would like to believe that I deserve it. Because I'd like to believe that. I can feel myself not believing that. I would like to believe that.
That's a little better though.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got one for you.
Oh,
I want to deserve it.
I want to deserve it, damn it. Do you believe me? I'm tired of this. I mean, I'm tired of having this experience for years now.
That probably rings true.
Yeah. What's going on over there? How could I have like this business that is so awesome? There's this whole deserving worth piece that's underneath everything. And I'm still making money. I'm still bringing in clients. I'm still sell things. And yet, there's this feeling of like, Beth doesn't deserve it. What's up with that? I don't know. I don't
Is this true? I just want to find out if it's true. If you said, I know you deserve it, I just can tell you don't believe it yet.
Yeah, yeah. I know that's true, but I can tell you don't really believe that yet.
And are you able to have some optimism, but I think you're going to figure it out or something like that?
Yeah, it's coming.
Is that all you have to
Can you say it's way more better than it used to be? So can you say to her, you don't have to convince me. Business, heart of business.
I'm supposed to say that.
You don't have to convince me that you're worth it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You don't have to convince me that you're worth it. I don't really want to be convinced.
Well, you're part of me, so.
Yeah. I don't need to be convinced.
I need to be convinced.
That feels right. That
Yeah.
feels good.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
really lands for me.
And we'll just notice this as one of those things I put up on the bullet board of your need to know you're worth it can't come from the business or the clients.
Okay,
It precedes that.
Okay.
It comes from a different space.
I see.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, this is where you get the knowing that from.
Okay, should I go there?
No, it's just another representation
Okay.
here.
Can you say what that is again?
It's wherever you get the knowing that you're worth from.
Okay.
It's God or
Okay.
your existential self or your spirit or source or, you know?
All right. Okay.
And can you look at that one and say, I get that from that.
I get my value more from that.
Good.
And actually, it's not that you get your worth and value,
Oh.
you have it.
Oh.
You just know.
Oh. Ah, I thought it came from somewhere else.
And you go, we have come around the problem.
So I am that, and I know that because of that.
Yeah.
That's what that means. That's
And
it.
can you look at that just up here, like it's, yeah. Let's go, hello there, we've been missing you.
So, still don't quite believe it, but
That's all right.
where does that come from? Where does that shift happen?
Relationship with this.
Relation with that.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah, it is probably way up there. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm glad that one's there.
And it's
Yeah.
not you.
I'm not, so the pressure's off me.
Yeah. Shh, not about that.
I can just be a business.
I can just be a business. That's what I do. I'll be a business.
Quite well. All right. I gotta reconnect with this.
Yeah. If you made no money at all, you're still of infinite worth. Right? And making millions, there are plenty of people who make millions who still think they're worthless. Yeah? It probably wouldn't, if I gave you a check for $1 million, you wouldn't suddenly feel worthy.
Way opposite.
Okay,
Okay.
so Rudy's.
Future release. All right.
Shall I clean your mugs?
Oh,
Yes,
that's
please.
lovely. Thank you. Heart of my business.
I don't remember what it was before, but
Daily.
that's what we were. Now I feel like a cake.
A cake?
Very lovely decorated cakes.
Oh,
To be,
nice.
like, cut.
Nice. Yeah. What flavor?
Oh, strawberry, chocolate.
Hard to see that.
Oh, really lovely, like one of those wonderful like cakes that they look like ornaments almost.
They're real pretty ones.
Yeah, very pretty.
Yeah, they're really
Decorated,
Yeah.
made at like Cazelle or Gazelle.
But-
You know, like one of those like gourmet cakes that
Nice.
are super. I
No.
think it's a lot. Very lovely. Very
So the day I saw these, I was in the house and said, I saw it.
like immense pleasure, like everybody.
That's not the one that's cigars. The one that's cigars. Oh, it is. Oh, it is. Yeah.
Nice.
The social environment.
Oh,
Yeah, there's something very petite.
this is
Petite, yeah, petite.
it's inside of that.
Is that what that's
Yeah, it's on the door. That's my, it's by club card.
With all the different stickers.
No, I'm good with
First
that.
of all, yours.
I like the cake.
Oh, thank
I
you.
like the cake.
Good stop examining your sweater.
Awesome.
Did you get my email about the
Yes, yes,
Did
yes.
you, were you reviewing the
Yes,
one?
the old one,
Oh,
I
I'm
missed it,
sorry.
that's all right.
Do you have it?
Yes, yes, it's on my to-do list. Yeah, yes.
Oh, and next thing.
Yeah, just it needs to go just about halfway on the.
Should I put the screen share back with the other screen share?
Good night.
Oh, there's
Oh,